I was trying to keep this going. Damn. I thought I could drag that a little bit long. It's over. It's over. It's not even funny now. So hello everyone. I'm having trouble waking up. It's a having trouble waking up Tuesday morning. I got up at a reasonable hour and I don't know, got in about maybe half hour, 45 minutes of work and then passed out again. And to beat the drowsy, I've got my standard mix of Gatorade and Monster next to me, and hopefully that'll do the job. But the other thing that helps is talking. And so I'd say hello to all of you. So what do you think of this avatar? This is man, I think you want to talk, you want to see my face when I've just woken up. There it is. That's it. Of course, that's when I had my old haircut, and that's that's Lucifer on my shoulder. And no, it has nothing to do with Satanism other than we thought it would be hilarious to name a rat Lucifer because they're cute. Actually, little Lucifer there on my shoulder was did not live up to his name at all. In fact, he was a sweetheart in every way. Poor guy, unfortunately, we'd gotten him from a Petco when they were buying from a breeder that was breaking all these laws. The guy actually broke so many laws he went to prison for it, and a lot of he was releasing rats that had I think it was actually called rat fever, and poor little Lucifer there had rat fever, and it sent him into a he had a couple seizures, and after that he was never quite really the same. He uh, he wasn't dumb. That's the thing. Is rats are very bright. He wasn't dumb, but he definitely was a simple boy of simple needs. He wasn't playing with a full deck, so he was a little loopy, but he was very, very nice. And fortunately, he had the genius rat, Zed, who I based Max on, as his cage mate. And I think that was for the best because Zed was, like I said, rats are in a weird place in their evolution where some are animals and some are really creepy smart. And frickin' Zed, I mean, this was one of the things that kind of woke me up to the fact that these animals are incredibly bright. Is Zed was actually bringing him food and nursing him back to health, and he would do it begrudgingly. This is funny. Zed would begrudgingly clean up Lucifer's little space where Lucifer would sleep. I don't know if he was doing it out of frustration that the cage was a mess or if he was just being nice, but he would actually clean up that area that Lucifer would sleep in so that he wasn't sleeping in his own turds. Now, granted, cleaning up in rat terms, because rats will clean depending if they're smart. If they figure out, hey, I'm not going to be able to leave this place, uh, they realize the cage is their permanent home. Even if they're a free range rat, that's where they get to sleep. So rat cleaning consists of chucking everything out of the cage. So yeah, I mean, on the one end, hey, applaud the rat for cleaning. On the other end, that meant you had all these scraps of paper and turds chucked on the floor in front of the cage. Just saw Cat's chipmunk cheeks on Peter's channel. Oh my god. Wouldn't call them chipmunk cheeks. She's just got very high cheekbones and a very rosy smile. I don't know. Let's get the pictures up. I've got the pictures specifically for these uses. But yeah, wasn't that great? Okay, well, we're not looking at her face there. Let's see. Where are the other graphics of my lovely cat? Or graphics, photographs. No, not in that one. I guess you could call those that. I wouldn't call them chipmunk cheeks. They're just very high cheekbones. And I will say the freckling does make them look rounder than they are. But anyway, yeah, she was on Peter Sameti's show, and I would like all of you to thanks, Samedi, for bringing her on. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. Uh, like I said, I got up and worked for about 45 minutes and then passed right back out. Um, and that's why I'm here, because I'm being social. So, what do you guys think of the interview with Kat? Now, realize I haven't really heard much of it. I just heard her at the beginning talking to him a little bit about cryptids, and then a little bit about just the publishing business. But was it a pretty good show? I plan on listening to it later tonight. Okay, slow replies. Let's see. Ishi, you sly alien. Rosy hair. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of weird. The thing is, um, as you age, apparently, your hair tends to get darker and then it goes gray. And so, yeah, she kind of almost had almost carrot hair when she was younger. And then it turned into this coppery color that she has now. But now it'll get sun bleached and it'll take on this really bright copper, as you said, let's see, what'd you say? Rosy tone to it, which I like. Um, you can tell when she's been out working in the yard. Although she doesn't lose her pale skin because she's very diligent about the sunscreen, which you need to be in this state. Um, Pictures look great. Oh, of course, it's Kat. Um, she did great. Like I'm learning a lot. Oh, good, good. Wolf, never hesitate to send one of us an email if you have a question about publishing or any of that stuff, or ask me on the air. I mean, I know that pissed off Gen Xers has kind of evolved or devolved into four Gen Xers just on rants, which you guys seem to enjoy. Actually, it's weird. Ever since it kind of turned into four old Gen Xers bitching about everything, our listenership has been going up. I don't know why. But keep in mind, the original purpose of this channel was, and I still will maintain, to mentor anyone who needs advice. You guys want it? You need mentoring? You have publishing questions? Anything like that? Ask me questions about writing, being a writer, artist. Um, because that was one of the reasons I first started this channel. It was around Comicsgate that I really started using this channel. Before that, all my attention was going to the head drama channel. And the original purpose was to promote new creators and to help and foster new creators in the industry or in this upcoming Comicsgate movement. Now, as we know, it all kind of derailed and went awry. But that doesn't change the mission statement. I think on some degree, or not even think, on that, at some degree, just being someone who's been in this industry as long as I have, and being the age that I am, I kind of feel like I have a responsibility to help you guys out and help newcomers. Um, I know that some people in the past will say, "Well, you're not being as judgmental as I think you should on some people's comics. That art's a little rough." It's like, well, yeah, it's rough, but I'm not here to tear them down and I'm not here to lie to them either. But, there's a difference between saying, yes, that art's rough, but definitely if you keep at it, they're going to be good versus, yeah, you better get into a different art form. Um, and I think that's part of it is, if you want the sledgehammer, is this ready for print? You ask Kat. She'll tell you that answer. But really, if like, for instance, I think someone's art isn't quite ready for prime time, I'm not going to tear them up. I'll just say, yeah, you're progressing really well. Um, and try to help them towards that point of getting to when they're ready to be published. Gen X to the lefty, millennials to the right here. I'm stuck in the middle. Well, what do you mean? I told you my opinion on Gen Y. They just tried to cut us short. Gen Y is just the tail end of Gen X. And I contend that the only difference between Gen X and Gen Y is your period. Gen X was Gen X, like I said, Gen Y is really just the tail end of Gen X because Gen X is supposed to be from 1965 to 1982 or 84, right? but generations are supposed to be 25 years, not 20. And the boomers were so itching to get rid of us, they started talking about Gen Y. And then the millennials came around and they decided to lose interest in you. But really, the dividing line with Gen X and Gen Y, if you want to say, use those terms, is one, you guys are a little bit better at technology than us, although we fared pretty well because we invented a lot of it. But you guys are a little more adept at it. Two, you guys tended to be a bit more emotionally well adjusted than us. Not, I don't know why. You didn't come out as fucked up. And three, I think you guys got a little bit better education, to be upfront. Oh, that and you didn't fear the bomb. You did not have that ever-present fear of the bomb over your head. But when they started talking about Gen Y, I was and meeting Gen Y as I hadn't quite done the math on the generations and realized, oh, no, actually, Gen Y is just the tail end of this. My opinion was, okay, we're doing great. If this is the future generation, if this is the next 20 years or 25 years of young people, we're doing great. Because as I said, you guys were as street smart as Gen X. You guys were as hip to being lied to. You were distrustful of authority. You had all of the good traits of Gen X. You were self-sufficient, but you weren't quite as fucked up as we were. So my thought was, huh, we're in good hands. And then millennials happened, and now it's kind of the shit show we're living in. The absolute shit show. I mean, I think the other thing is Gen Y pretty much for the most part escaped all that touchy feely Barney. Oh, everybody loves you. You're perfect the way you are. Uh, all that, the bubble wrapped world, keeping you children. You guys got to escape. You were the last group of people to escape that crap. Um, Ishi, I'm willing to run a cyberpunk source code channel. More people are talking about cyberpunk and robotics on Twix than ever. Really, I don't even know what Twix is. Um, it could be a platform to promote Siege Engine. Um, let's talk Eloise. I need to talk to Trenton as well about some stuff. Let's talk about that. I mean, you have done us so many favors as far as the social media and I really appreciate it. And I will not say no. I definitely give you the go ahead to do so. Um, but are you sure I can't like send you some free shit to thank you? I've asked her a few times now if I can like send her free books or signed books, or we have a fair amount of old merchandise stuff leftovers from Kickstarter campaigns, shot glasses, stickers, posters, postcards, bonus pamphlets and books. Like World War Kaiju had this whole duck and cover mini comic that came with it that was only available in the Kickstarter. I mean, we got stuff. I really would like to send you some sort of thank you just for all the effort you've done, because really it is fans like you that allow me to focus more on writing, and it's fans like you that spread the word and make sure that new people find my material, because as we all know, Twitter isn't going to let me tell people about my work. um, there are half generations that see a bit of a distinction between boomer and X. Oh yeah, I remember. I've heard that term, by the way, George. I've heard people call them post boomers. Um, the most famous of them being Joel Hodgson of MST3K, always referred to himself as a post boomer and not a Gen Xer, because I think he was born right on that cusp, 64, 65. Um, Apparently now people measure generations as far as a new console as a new video game console. That's kind of true. Me emotionally adjusted, well, werewolf temper can get frustrated easily. Yeah, but look at you. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, you're living in the LA area or thereabouts. Your job's been jerking you around. I mean, you came from a not great environment, as you famously said. You lost your virginity outside. What was it, the Compton courthouse or whatever? I mean, in a good way. Don't worry, audience. It was good. It was a good way, from what I understand. I was just, man, the balls on the dude to actually have sex in the bushes near a courthouse. That's pretty funny. But you know, you definitely faced adversity in your youth, Wolf, and look at you. You're productive. You're working towards creating your own comic. You've got a steady job. You got a good wife. Um, that's great. I don't know. I guess less Gen Y put guns in their mouths and killed themselves. So you keep in mind, Gen X, we a lot of us there was a lot of suicide in the teen years. We all knew at least one or two people that killed themselves. It was not a good thing, and that was just hopelessness and depression. Um, I remember having a conversation with a real good friend of mine who he just had a buddy he'd known for years kill himself. He OD'd on pills purposely. He got a bunch of alcohol, hard liquor, and then got his mom's. I think what was it? It was a pain killing killer medication of some sort, and he OD'd on it and killed himself because of depression. And he purpose it was an intended suicide. And my friend goes to me and tells me he's just like all broken up, and he says, you know, I thought we were supposed to see all of our friends die when we're old, not in high school. And it was a very true statement. Oh, Twix is in Twitter X. Okay, sure, absolutely. I'm cool with you doing it, Eloise. And like I said, I would put more effort into Cyberpunk source code, but um, I hate to be a dick. I mean, I abandoned it, yes. It's a project that has a lot of good stuff to it, but it's still incomplete. And really, I had to let it go when it stopped making money. And I hate to say that, but I've got so many other things to do that I need to spend that time on. It was just there was a brief window in time where there were all these cyberpunk sites that totally got it wrong. So I said, screw it, I'll do my own website, I'll get it right, and I'll do my own merch. And for a while, it was really doing well. And then Cyberpunk 2077 came out, and suddenly a lot of people weren't all that interested anymore. Brian Niemeyer refers to it as Generation Jones. Yeah, you know, I've heard that too. In Twitter, I asked him if it referred to Davy Jones or Jim Jones. Now, wouldn't that be a pairing? Davy Jones and Jim Jones together in a band. And the story could be that Jim and Davy got together and gave the rest of the monkeys Kool-Aid and then decided they'd take over the band. I still remember heckling a priest at my old church. Well, didn't we all do that though? Didn't we all at some point? I mean, we were little shits. I mean, I remember being in catechism and the kids, yeah, they're, hey, to the priest's credit, he did the thing where he straight faced, we would do once a week. You could, or no, it's once a month, you could ask a priest. We'd all come in there and he would answer any question you wanted about religion. And of course, you know, being little shits, we all asked the stupid questions like, is it okay to call God Daddy-O? I mean, since he's our father, how about Dadu? You know, shit like that. And the priest wouldn't even blink, wouldn't even get mad. He just, well, if you mean it respectfully, yes. I'm trying to remember some other things. But that was the one that I remember the most. My 9 to 5 obligation is finished, so I'll be free from California in November. Well, good for you. Good for you. Are you coming to visit or are you moving? Um, okay. Indiana Jones. Well, that's a good one too. Mm. Speaking of Siege Engine, I know I keep promising it to you, but this second chapter just won't end, man. Um, I think you're going to have another 10,000 word chapter from me, but yeah, that's what I've been working on is Siege Engine. Um, is anyone here a regular Cersova reader, just out of curiosity? And the reason I ask, is I wanted to know, do any of these like Anvil or Cersova, do any of them do serialized? I'm going to do any of them do serialized stories? Because I'm thinking maybe at the pace I'm writing Siege Engine, if I could get one of these magazines again, like either Iron Age or Cersova, to start publishing it as a serialized collection first, that'd be a great way to get it out there. Well, Nerdy Ogre says, from my understanding, California tax code, nobody gets free from California. That depends. That depends, Ogre. That depends on, do you plan on returning? Because those laws that California are passing are illegal. Once you're out of that state and you pay your state taxes for that last year, you're free. They have no right to continue coming after you. This whole bullshit, like, oh, we're going to tax your business for the next 10 years, or we're going to tax citizens this for the next 10 years, or they can pass every law they want on the books. But once you're no longer living in California, those laws do not apply to you. I mean, you might as well be living on the moon. And unless California decides that they're going to send, sheriff, the state sheriff, or sheriff or police officers to my doorstep to bang on my doors and drag me back to California to pay taxes, which they cannot legally do. They cannot send their law enforcement out of state. There's no way for them to enforce those illegal taxes. And my advice to you would be ignore them. Do what everyone else is doing. Because let me tell you, the only people that are still paying those are people who still need to do business with the state of California. No one else has any reason to pay those stupid bullshit taxes. As I repeat, they are illegal. And so, as I said, yeah, most residents, when they leave the state, if they've got any sense, they don't bother with the, oh, we're going to tax you for the next 10 years. Like, screw you. Screw you. Okay, yeah. You know what? Send some California police to my door to collect that tax, and I'll laugh at them because they can't do anything. And Arizona sure as shit isn't going to collect them for you. Um, do you think in 20 years, the time for the 2010 or 2020s will be called the age of the thousand psychic wars? That's a great name. Is that a reference to anything specific? Um, but that's a great freaking name. And the reason I say is, psychic, I know that it definitely has taken on the term to mean mental powers or mental abilities, but in its purest form, it just means mental. The whole concept of psychic pain, psychic pressure, psychic stress just meant mental stress, the load on your mind. It didn't literally mean superpowers. So, in that case, if you wanted to refer to us as living in the era of psychic wars, oh, we're in them all right, because our brains are getting bombarded from all angles with bullshit. There are so many vested people with a vested interest in getting you upset, depressed, angry, feeling hopeless, anything they can to keep you afraid and desperate and tuned in to their bullshit and afraid to agree with so afraid that you'll agree to whatever crap they try to dump on you. And the power of no is so wonderful. First of all, no, you don't need to be on their platform. Their platform can take a fucking hike. They can suck it. Again, a lot of this is different if you're in a business, but as an individual, you are not obligated to give you're not obligated to give anyone your fucking brain. Mark Zuckerberg can want control of your brain and what you see, think, and hear, and you have every right to tell him to shove it up his ass. And that goes for any of the platforms or any of the news outlets or anyone here, including me on YouTube. No one has the right you're not obligated to give your mind to anyone. No one has any business living rent free in your head if you don't want them to. And that's one of the reasons I'm so happy to find that more and more people don't trust the news anymore. It's like, finally, the news has always been liars. That was the thing that got me. Is there was an age of legitimate journalism, but you look through the history of journalism and you realize they've always been liars. And that, you go back all the way back to, the age of Rome. The media were liars, and it was people in power. It was either people in power, or they were trying to sell you something, or they wanted to sway opinion. Keep in mind, William Randolph Hearst got us into a war to sell newspapers, all on lies. Think about that. So, if I can impart anything to the 23 of you listening, although I'm sure most of you already know this by now, if the news is trying to scare you, if the public or social media is trying to make you feel depressed and helpless, that means they are desperate to get your attention. If everything was all going great, they wouldn't be putting forth the effort of doing this. If everything was under control, they wouldn't need to scare you. If everyone was watching the news, they wouldn't need to frighten you or threaten you. If the bad guys were truly winning as good as they say they are, we wouldn't be aware of them. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't even hear about any of this shit happening. We wouldn't even know how corrupt our government is, but we do. And I know it's daunting and it's depressing and it's disturbing to realize what a shit show we're in. But the fact is, we know it. We're aware of it. They're not in charge the way we think they are. They're not all powerful. And take that to heart. So when they tell you, oh yeah, the world's going to end in 2 years because the jet stream's going to change, or the solidity in the ocean, bullshit, bull fucking shit. That is a lie they've been using as long as I've been alive. The environment to get people to do things and to agree to taxes and to bow down to stupid policies. And if you want to, psychological or psychic attack, take your pick. I know the psychic tends to have a weird connotation as it's taken on new meaning. It used to be called mentalism. Did you know that? Oh, hey, Raltz, what's up? Raltz, Chicken Sip, we're getting everybody in here. Damon? The other idea is to call it hypothetical Twitter account, Ishin Press. Sure, I'm okay with that. If that's what you'd feel comfortable with, since you wouldn't officially be a 0-1 account, if you want to use that as kind of a way to get the word out about what I'm up to and my books, go for it. I'm honored to have, I guess, a quote unquote, even, I don't like the word fan, but I would be more than thrilled to have a quote unquote fan account on Twitter promoting my work for me. I guess I kind of that's a sign that you've kind of made it, isn't it? I thought the first day that I realized, okay, I'm legit, is when I got stalkers and naked pictures in the mail of an old lady who was a groupie who wanted my attention. That was my first time I thought, I really made it. But I think this is better. I think this is better, actually having people wanting to create fan accounts to talk about my work. Absolutely. More power to you. Thank you. I appreciate it always. Although, my highest standard for when I know I've truly made it is when people start writing /fic and doing gender swap cosplay of my characters. Then I'll know that I've really made it. Blue Oyster Cult, veteran of the 1,000 Psychic Wars. I really should have known that, but I didn't really listen to much Blue Oyster Cult other than the track that was in Heavy Metal the movie. My rock knowledge is not nearly as good as it should be. As Raltz was shaming me the other night that I had never heard I Can't Drive 55. Although I kind of wonder if Veteran of the 1,000 Psychic Wars might have been a reference to some of the stuff Harlan Ellison wrote. because he wrote about those sorts of things. A reference to the Blue Oyster Cult song and stress from social media. 2020, the year of toilet paper hoarding. Yeah, it's partially from Blue Oyster Cult's veteran. Oh, okay, one of my favorites. Yeah, as I said, my knowledge of rock is not what it should be, and that's kind of embarrassing considering I was both a professional music journalist and I worked in the music industry for a while. Now, granted, that was all electronic music, so my knowledge is insofar as where techno and industrial and new wave came from, and I have a decent knowledge of the '60s counterculture music too. I can talk about that very informed, but you want me to tell you about the history of Geezer Butler? It's like, nah, I'm not going to be able to do that. Or, you know, my knowledge on Rob Halford is not what it should be. Oh, Fair Maiden's even chosen to join us. Got a full audience in the year 2525. Have you heard the Leibach version of that, Wolf? It's worth hearing. Okay, so Veteran of the Psychic Wars is a Blue Oyster Cult song which references a fantasy series. All right. Um, I'm glad I stopped watching the news since 2008. That there must have been something about 2008 because that's when I kind of unplugged from television entirely. I just said fuck it, and we stopped watching regular TV. And then during Gamergate, we got rid of cable as well. We just said fuck it, and it was specifically there was so much woke bullshit going on or starting to happen on TV right about then, and then they ruined Spike TV, and then when Adam Laszlo, of the producer behind the Adult Swim programming block on Cartoon Network, started using the commercial blocks to promote Zoe Quinn, we're like, okay, we're out. We're fucking out. If Cartoon Network is going to get behind Zoe Quinn, they can suck a dick. Yes, Randolph Hearst started the Spanish American War to sell newspapers, and it was all on lies. I'm decently educated in that strictly because I, for a time, took a journalism major at San Francisco State University, but got kicked out of it. You can guess why. But Kat has a special love of that period in history and the yellow journalism in that period of history. So if you ever want a long talk on that, bring it up when Kat's on the air. If they say snow is white, they're lying. Yeah, if they say the snow is white, it's probably yellow. By the way, in Wasteland 3, just as a thing, I don't know if anyone else played the game. I'm just curious. One of the things you can do in Wasteland 3 is pick up snowballs and throw them at people. And it also gives you the option of peeing on the snowballs before throwing them. Is there any useful purpose of the game other than it makes people stink? I mean, is there any actual game plot, or is it just that you can start making NPCs permanently smell bad by throwing a yellow snowball at them? Okay, not much. Just listening while you drink. Oh, good man. Good man. Drinking your first cup of coffee. Coffee's good. Haven't had as much coffee as I'd like lately because hot coffee when it's 103 outside isn't fun. OSI from Venture Brothers committed war crimes. Anyway, how are you doing? Oh, Venture Brothers. Yeah, that was truly a good show. That was one of those shows that Adam Laszlo of Cartoon Network did not want to keep. He tried his damnedest to cancel it, but the fan base liked it too much. He wanted just that was when he wanted to shift programming over to like Tom Goes to the Mayor and the Eric and what's his face show. He really I don't have very good opinions of Adam Laszlo. I've actually had a little bit of inside dealings with the Cartoon Network people, and a lot of them are good people, but it's another situation in which Well, I don't know anymore. This is how it used to be. There used to be a lot of good people working at Cartoon Network, but the people up top were scumbags. And I don't. That's a talk for another time. New big lie: Kessler syndrome. The way scientists talk about cube satellites like Starlink as if they're a minefield. They want us stuck on Earth. Yeah, they do actually. They do want us stuck on Earth, and they're pissed at Elon Musk because he's opened up space to the rest of us. So the new fear story is Kessler syndrome. Here's the thing about a Kessler syndrome. The idea is that if one satellite were to ram into another, those two satellites would explode into a huge cloud of debris, and that cloud of debris would tear up other satellites, would then create a bigger debris cloud, which would create a bigger debris until the Earth is surrounded by a belt of debris, which would make space untravelable. Now, one, I don't buy that because if you know anything about mankind, if there's a will, there is a way. Um, and it is just another problem that someone would solve because that's what we do. And it's just because the big brains don't know how to solve problems. They just like to identify them. The second thing is they've been predicting a Kessler syndrome since the 90s. Is it possible? Oh, thoroughly. Absolutely. It's totally possible. But there's a couple factors to involve. The first one being that we really have gone out of our way to track all that space garbage. Second, in my opinion, if a Kessler syndrome were ever to occur, I'm going to say it was done on purpose. Seriously. It could be something as simple as the opening shot of an active war by China. Trigger a Kessler syndrome so that no one can dominate space. No one can use that to their advantage. Or maybe our own governments, who seem to be like the current administration seems to like faking attacks and false flags, could do it as well as an act of war and say, "Oh, it was just an accident. Oops." Or it might be industrial espionage. We don't like you, Elon. We don't like this. We're getting rid of it. Or there could be some dipshit at the WEF who has just only need one, who says, you know what, we need to drag mankind back to the Stone Age. But I don't think it's going to happen accidentally if we ever get one. Now, here's the other thing about a Kessler syndrome that they won't tell you about. And this is okay, I can talk about this. Kat's father worked for the DoD as a private contractor. He had a clearance. I forget what the level was, but it was a high level clearance. He knew a lot of things he couldn't talk about. And he worked on a lot of projects that he can't talk about either. But one day the subject of a Kessler syndrome came up, and he said, well, the thing that's so stupid about it is we can fix it right now. We have all the technology needed right now to fix a Kessler, all the shit in space, all the debris up there. There's just one problem. What it would require would be putting up lasers up there that could be used offensively. He explained that all that space debris, you could have a couple high-powered lasers on the International Space Station and literally just vaporize all those little bits and bobs that are circling the Earth and turn them to essentially atoms. And that we already have the technology to do it, but it's a thing where the US and Russia, and I guess China now, it's like once one person officially has a laser up in space that they're using, they'll all have lasers in space they're using. But right now, the lasers up in orbit, no one admits they're there. It's that simple. It's just not there. That's long as they don't use them, theoretically, they don't exist, right? So yeah, we can solve the Kessler syndrome, and it's just a matter of using a laser to vaporize it. And then the larger objects, you could pull them out of orbit. I mean, I wrote a story where that was a character's job. In Scars, the astronaut worked as essentially a orbital salvage collector. He was with a crew, and their job was to uh, pull up next to satellites, match their speed, and pull them out of orbit and haul them off. And that's completely within our means too. It's just somebody has to put the money forth to do it. But you know what? Those big objects, the big satellites, aren't really the risk. It's the ones that are like the size of a bolt or just a paint chip. And yes, a paint chip can cause a lot of problems. One paint chip could, in theory, shear a solar panel in half because it hits with the force of a grenade, from what I understand, from what my research said. And no, Starlink is not a minefield. Okay, that is retarded. Starlink, every single one of those are tracked. When they start to fail, they purposely have them fall out of orbit and burn up in the atmosphere. It's all very well maintained and very well controlled. What it is that they're just pissed off that they don't own it, and that Elon Musk, who isn't playing by their rules, has control of Starlink. It is that simple. Hopefully, look, you have no idea how much research I've done on a lot of this stuff just to quell my own fears. Because when I was going through my PTSD really bad, when it was horrible, it was always these apocalyptic syndromes that would, or apocalyptic narratives that would kick it off. So the way to make that stop was to research the hell out of it till I knew all the facts, even if that meant contacting the scientists themselves doing the research. And I'm glad I did. Of your characters, yes, that hide sexy gray costume. I'm not dressing up as Gwen. Or you mean Glinda? You're not dressing up as Glinda? The fact that you're being shut down left and right also stands as a badge of honor. That and the fact that you've dropped the mic with boobs of steel and they don't even know what hit them yet. I'm waiting for that to really, that's going to be a slow burn. I've been pleased. The sales on the first month were great. The sales for the first month were great. Ever since then, it's been, one or two a day, typically. I mean, they're well, I'll get a nothing day every once in a while. But I think that's going to be a slow burn where more and more people get exposed to it and start saying, hey, wait a minute, which seems to be the overall result. I'm going to be on the Drinking with Crazy podcast this Friday. And it was funny because they're cool, they're kind of wild, and they got the book, and they, of course, thought it was going to be a titty book, and they read it. And I remember on the podcast when they're talking, they said, no, this is a real book. This is serious. I mean, it is about boobs, but I mean, he really thought about this. This is serious stuff. Which I guess is the reaction I probably want. The second of the three songs, British author Michael Moorcock wrote the Blue Oyster Cult frontman. Oh, really? Between Black Blade and the Great Sun Jester. Oh, wow. Moorcock also wrote lyrics for Hawkwind, including the 1975 track Standing at the Edge from their Warrior on the Edge of Time album, which contains this line, and I'll have to find. That's cool. You've heard Psychic Wars. It was in heavy metal. Okay, so that's the track. Okay, thank you. Haunt's been Bar One's doing his Halloween haunts. That's cool. His haunt's going well. He says he's been a mad scientist, a possum, and just started a haunted swap season. That's awesome. I'm glad people are doing that. Kat's been working on the yard decorations as well here. Hopefully she'll share them soon. Mike Laszlo was always trying to be hip and trendy with the trends, and no surprise that he jumped on the Zoe Quinn. Jeez, Mike Laszlo. And the thing is he treated his people so badly. I mean, Andy Merrill, who all but created Space Ghost by doing a joke video, has never really gotten the credit he deserved. He never really got the pay he deserved. and he was just kind of treated as just another employee, even though he was the voice of Brack. He did a whole bunch of, basically created the ID, the visual identity of Adult Swim for the first few seasons. And prior to that, he was the one that created the visual identity and all the promotions for Cartoon Planet and Space Ghost. The guys at Venture Brothers, those Doc Hammer and, oh God, I forget the other guy's name. Through a friend of a friend, I had a friend of ours was really close with the Venture Brothers creators, and knew them on a personal level, and just the amount of bullshit and jerking around Cartoon Network gave them. And the only reason Venture Brothers looked that good is those guys, it was a labor of love, and they would actually go in and correct errors and reanimate, draw in their own animation when the animation came back broken. They were doing far more work than they were being paid for. According to Doc Hammer, they were getting paid basically what a manager gets at Denny's. Okay. Hey, Tweldy, how am I doing? Oh, I was drowsy as hell, but I'm doing a bit better now. How do you get into drinking coffee? Just get used to drinking it over time? Um, well, I'm going to invite people to rip on me for this, and I welcome any criticism because it's all only fair. First off, I like drinking coffee that has a distinct flavor. Um, and I'm glad that a lot of different conservative companies have started making their own coffee brands. But how do I drink? I drink it with about a shot of almond milk and then aspartame because I've tried to cut out sugar. And yeah, that's thoroughly Californian, and you can laugh at me all you want, along with me eating the rice cakes. I was born in California. I was born in California, and I did grow up in the '90s in California. I eat rice cakes with crab cake on them, and drink almond milk. Nice picture. Oh, you like the picture? That's probably about 8 years old. But that was one of those days where Cat just shoved a camera in my face, and I was pretty out of it. It's my old haircut. Before I realized, screw it. I'll just get. You know what? I don't care. I don't care that they've made this haircut stupid. I'm going back to my '90s haircut because I don't have to give a shit. Which explains Space and Riffs. The other thing about the Kessler syndrome is it only would last for a handful of years. It wouldn't be permanent. Most of that junk would fall out of orbit. Junk in orbit deorbits over time. Isaac Arthur has a video on Kessler syndrome, essentially saying it's not a real world problem. Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, let's say a Kessler syndrome really did happen, it would only affect the satellites in low orbit. All the satellites in high orbit are fine, and all the satellites that are out near the moon wouldn't even be touched. So anything in high orbit would not have to worry about it. In fact, space junk isn't an issue for anything in high orbit. It's only low orbit, and things that are in low orbit tend to fall out of the fall into the atmosphere within 3 to 5 years. Okay. And I know that because, well, I studied the whole Kessler syndrome thing and space junk when I was writing Scars, because again, that was James's job. He was an astronaut who pulled old dead satellites out of orbit and hauled them in to be scrapped. And then there was an accident. Well, there's no money solving problems. We've been crying about global warming. The thing is we've got real world problems, and they keep wanting to dump money. Global warming, climate change, the hole in the ozone layer, which turns out no, there was no hole. It just waxes and wanes on its own. Coming ice age. You name all these stupid shit, and the fact of the matter is, big government policies to try and fix the environment have never been good. Never. They've always done more damage than good. Really, the effective things, if there's a problem, and our environment's actually pretty damn clean in the United States. It's countries like India and China you have to worry about. Um, really, it's people acting on a public level or within their own communities that makes the difference. And that usually has to do with, well, what kind of community do I want to live in? But yeah, it's always diverting money into stupid shit when we need money being used to actually fix roads, fix power lines, maintain maintaining infrastructure. Okay. Ishii managing to look like every 90s hacker. Damn it, fuck trustless science. Do your own research and verify. Fucking verify. Yeah, you know what? And oh, well, you shouldn't do your own research. Well, what if you actually write directly to the scientist doing the research and asking him, huh? How about that kind of research? Which I did. Boobs of Steel is my favorite coffee table book. It really sets the tone. Awesome. Yes, Boobs of Steel. If you don't own it yet, you should. Let me get the image up. Let me share this. Boobs of Steel, Book 1. Decoding the Amazon. Busty Heroines in the Culture War. Available on Amazon. Free on Kindle Unlimited. Or get it in paperback for $14. And really, if you're going to get any version, get the paperback version because there's extra content in that there are graphics kind of illustrating what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of sidebar content as well that's not in the digital one because, well, unfortunately, Kindle doesn't play nice with sidebars. And there's a link in the description if you want to pick this up. And yes, we're up to 21 ratings, and I want to thank all of you for actually just taking the time to review the book. Oh, Tweldy, you're finishing Whispers from the Abyss. Okay, so you got to read that horrible story my father wrote. Wait till you get to mine. It'll make up for it. I will take pride in the fact that I'm honorary tolerable furry among you. Along with 3 other songs from the Warrior of the Edge of Time, that song is based on Moorcock's concept of eternal champion, which encompasses different warriors. Yeah, I mean, it was from what I understand, the eternal champion really was him kind of diving into the concept of there is a eternal warrior archetype, and that he had all these different characters across different dimensions in different settings, uh, but they were all kind of reincarnations or incarnations of the same archetype or same person. Yeah, the Brack show did not get a fair shake. Uh, Rice cakes? Motherfucker, how rich are you? I'm not rich, dude. I make a working class income, like hopefully most of you, I hope. I would say our income is probably working class, and rice cakes and crab are not expensive. First off, it's crab cake isn't real crab, okay? It's whitefish, flavored like crab. It's not real. I can't eat crab. I have a shellfish allergy. And rice cakes are not expensive either. In fact, they're pretty fucking cheap. Well, you know what? I bet it's by state. I bet it's a specialty item in like the Midwest and in the South. But now Arizona rice cakes and artificial crab are pretty freaking cheap. Really? So that sounds like rich people food to you? I mean, no, if it was real crab, I could understand you saying, but no, it's just crab cake is not real. When you go to the sushi restaurant and it says crab, it's not really crab. It's whitefish flavored as crab. I linked your book on a comment. Power Girl boobs on a comment. Power Girl's boobs are too small. Oh, you're gonna get one hell of a rant out of Cat about just that. Um, James was a space janitor to a degree, yeah, a very well trained one, but yes. Max earns his keep. Max ain't shit eating freeloader. I think in Rifts that even a century after the apocalypse, aliens still use the Rifts instead of spaceships because of orbital defense grids active. Well, I think, yeah. I mean, depending on what the technology level would be, I would have to guess that some of the orbital grids would be in high orbit or at L4. I believe we have spy satellites in like extreme high orbit because they're hard to find. There was a very interesting incident on Art Bell. Yeah, yeah, shit, I shit you not, on Art Bell, where a bunch of amateur skywatchers thought they had spotted a UFO approaching Earth, and then they looked at it and they started realizing it was sending encrypted radio signals. And this went on for a couple of weeks on the Art Bell show that, oh my God, an alien ship is approaching Earth, right? And finally, apparently, I think it was the NSA had to step in and told them, stop talking about this. It's not a spaceship. It's just got an elliptical orbit. That's why it looks like it's approaching. Now, shut up. Yeah, now that you mention it, there was a character in the Cyberpunk game that reminded me a lot of Ishii. um, I did my own research. Granted, the only one that will tell you how an AI can die has been ChatGPT. Everyone else, search engine shows doom scrolling content. Jeez. So what does it say? EMP or just shoot it with a shotgun, overheat it, uh, talk it into killing itself? I mean, these all seem to be. Oh, you're at Death War Grease Paint? Okay, I'm looking forward to what you think of that. That's a pretty bonkers story. I think that was the one where I realized I had my own style, that I had developed a writing style. Location changes the price of meats. Coastline seafood is kind of cheap. More inland hamburgers are cheaper. Yeah, that is true. That is absolutely true. I did notice that crab spelt with a K, by the way. Here, let me spell like this, or just pieces of crab. When we moved to Arizona, they got a little bit more expensive, but not that bad. I'm sure in the middle of the country, it's considerably more expensive. Okay. Was Art Bell fully archived? I believe so if you look. There's a lot of Art Bell to be found on YouTube right now, and they're all very entertaining. And it's fun listening to when he fucks with people and you realize, wait, he's messing with the person. Okay. I love the Berserk manga and the anime where I even met a girl who likes it and branded the tattoo on her. I'm worried she likes that eclipse part a little. I have not seen Berserk. I know it was a war crime, isn't it? That's the FBI to explain statistics. Yeah, that was fascinating, Rawls. Ask it to explain FBI crime statistics and the AI kills itself. Um, I'm on third new game in Armored Core. Get it? Get it? Okay, look, I'm still recovering from buying a Gundam. um, I've found that building these Gundams is kind of good for my sanity. It gives me a time to tune out, let my hands work and not think about things. Maybe I'll play an audiobook in my ears and I just sit alone and craft a big robot. But yeah, that last Gundam cost me $50, which is okay because it's going to take me about a month or two to build the damn thing. But yeah, let me recover from buying the Gundam first before buying a game. Armor Core 6 has been a breath of fresh air. Reminds me of 2010 games. Okay, I have to get it now. I have to get it now. The thing is, you all keep saying AC6, and you see that as Armor Core, but keep in mind, I'm an Ace Combat fan. I see that as Ace Combat, which means, yeah, I have to get Wingman as well. All right, I'm gonna go get some work done. Um, uh, I really want to get this second chapter on the Discord for you soon. I mean, I keep saying that, but it's another one of those chapters that just won't end. Um, but I will talk to you guys later. Buy my book.